Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these are Charter Moms Chats. And we've been going live to help families learn the things they need to know to keep their kids doing well during the pandemic, and to learn about different school choice options in San Antonio. And today we're focusing on the senior projects that students do at Basis charter schools. And this is something that before the pandemic, I got to see some presentations at the Basis Shavano Campus, and I was really impressed and really excited. So it's something that's been on my mind for a while. And then this year I decided, okay, we're gonna let's share about this so that more families know about what seniors get to do at Basis charter schools. And then maybe even if they're evaluating what they want their kids to do for kindergarten or fifth grade, they know what it's building towards. So let me introduce our guests. So we have Anaya Patel is a senior at Basis San Antonio Shavano Campus, which is up in the Shavano Park area, kind of northwest side of San Antonio. So thank you, Anaya. And she's working on a senior project, so she's going to share about that. We also have Evan Stone, who is a recent graduate of Basis San Antonio Shavano. And he's currently a freshman at Abilene Christian University studying engineering. So thank you, Evan. So he's going to talk about the project he did last year. And we also have Elly Zimmer, who's the director of curriculum research and development for Basis Charter School Curriculum Company. And she's joining us from Arizona, which is still on standard time. I'm jealous. And so she used to be a teacher at Basis Oro Valley Primary. But now she's on the curriculum side. So she can explain like why it's so significant that Basis students get to do senior projects and how the curriculum builds up to that. So thank you all for joining me on Charter Moms Chats. So the first question I'm going to ask, I'm going to send it to Ellie. I want to mention that in the description of the video, there's a link to a blog post about senior projects. And there you can find like more details about it and links to Evan's blog that he made and things like that. Also a link to our enrollment guide blog post about Basis that has information about the campuses here in San Antonio. So, but Ellie, I wanted to ask you about, and this is covered in the blog post, but if you could discuss what's the importance of senior projects to the Basis Charter School academic program?
Yes, the senior projects are just a really awesome culmination of our whole curriculum. So most Basis students finish their graduation requirements at the end of the 11th grade, and then they have a choice in their senior year to go on. And then the first thing that they do is they take 4 capstone classes, which are really advanced level courses, almost college level, taught by teachers who are really passionate about that topic. And then in the final trimester of the year, they can continue on and do a senior project. Now they're working on this project throughout the year, developing their question, their topic. And it's usually something that they're really passionate about, really excited about, and it's born out of something they learned in the Basis curriculum. So maybe they learned about a theorem in calculus that they're just fascinated by and they want to go learn more. Or maybe in economics, they realized that they just love business, and so they want to go on and make a business plan. So they choose their own topic, develop it throughout the year with the help of an advisor on the Basis faculty and also an external advisor, somebody outside the Basis network. And then in a typical year, what would happen is the student would actually go off campus to do some sort of external experience like an internship, job shadow, something like that. This year, we're a little bit more flexible. Students have come up with some really creative ways to do projects independently at home or virtually. But they're doing some really incredible things. And what's really important to us here at Basis is that they're taking, something they learned at Basis that they're passionate about, and they're having a real world professional experience, which really prepares them to college or for college to go, approach their professors and not be afraid to, seek out those internships, those fellowships, things like that.
That's wonderful. One thing that I realized a few years ago when I was first learning about Basis senior projects is like the breadth of them. So that they could be sort of like community service oriented, or like you said, business or science, and also like the way like during pre-pandemic times, students really had access to research settings that typically only graduate students would have access to, and like hardly undergraduates or even high school students. And that's what's and I hope that the two projects that our guests are going to talk about they give you a sense of the breadth, because their projects are very different from each other. So okay, so I want to ask Anaya. Okay, so the title of your project is "The Impact of Education on Menstrual Stigma," and there's kind of a social science aspect to it, right? That you're you're developing a survey, and you're going to give that survey to teenage girls in the San Antonio. Well, I assume it's girls. I don't know. I should let you explain. Okay, so if you could tell us more about the objectives of your project.
Yes, so I've been fighting menstrual stigma since I was about a freshman. Um, I've sewed reusable feminine hygiene products for women in Zambia and Guatemala. I have joined like our local period chapter. I wrote an oratory about menstrual stigma. So when I had the opportunity to do my senior project, anything I really wanted, I decided to continue my passion for like menstrual stigma and take it to both girls and boys in the San Antonio community. So I spent the last month researching and creating a presentation about menstrual stigma. So it's really informative, but it has aspects of conversation and discussion questions. And I just recently started taking this presentation to different clubs in the San Antonio area. So far, I've only talked to 16 participants, but it's been really exciting. It's been really fun. The main objective, while it's obviously researching how we best can talk about menstrual stigma, I want to say for me personally, the most exciting thing is actually being able to have that conversation with young girls, girls like me who have felt menstrual stigma in all parts of their lives. So that's been really exciting on my end.
I'm really grateful to get this like peek into your project like while it's underway. And like I'd say, so my advice is don't feel discouraged the fact that you only have like that many data points yet. It's like, because I'm sure I know you've got more time, and I got to see your plan for your project, and you've got lots of things planned. And I noticed you have a okay, so you have an advisor, I guess, who's a teacher, but then also there's I guess it's on site, but in a virtual sense, right? So it's called Period Equity. Is that the?
Yes. So I'm virtually interning with Period Equity. So one of the kind of cool things about doing this during the pandemic is I'm able to intern with any organization around the world. So Period Equity is based out of New York. They're a group of lawyers that are fighting the tampon tax through class action lawsuits. So my own job is I am tracking legislation for them in all 50 states. So every day I go in and I see if there's been any change to legislation, what our lawyers can do to start legislation if nothing's been introduced, if there are any hearings for them to go and talk to them about the tampon tax, things like that. So that's been really fun. The chance to get this professional exposure is very unique to the senior project experience. So it's really cool being able to do this to an organization I wouldn't been able to without the pandemic.
Yeah. And as far as like developing your curriculum and, designing how you collect your data and things like that, are you getting input from your advisor at Basis as well?
So both. My advisor at Basis is really civically engaged. So she's been helping me create the presentation. She's giving me input on the survey, things like that. And then the women I'm interning with at Period Equity are both experts in their fields. They've published numerous books about menstrual studies. So they've been also giving me input on my presentation and survey. So it's been really helpful.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to ask the same question to Evan, like about the project, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to ask both of you about kind of how your projects are impacting you. But I want to ask Evan kind of the same question I asked you. So, Evan, your project was called 3D recycling design, and I was wondering if you could tell me more about the objectives of your project and like the company that you were interning with and how that worked.
Yeah, for sure. So I worked with a company called Integrated Shredder Technology, and they are a mechanical engineering firm focused on large-scale recycling. So they work with a lot of like car manufacturers, like heavy-duty machinery manufacturers, stuff like that, to produce and then dispose of like those large-scale machines in an efficient way. So in a way where you can reuse the metal and try to reduce as much waste as possible. So I was I was working with 3D modeling software in order to design things like conveyor belts, warehouse systems, just multiple pieces that would be put into the larger unit that would be sold off. And with all of that, the goal was to try to make the most efficient recycling system possible for like car scale objects.
Yeah. So it's like I'm used to paper shredders. I'm not used to car shredders.
Yeah, it was weird to get used to, especially seeing one for the first time. They were gigantic.
Yeah, but it's great because it's better for the environment. Then those metals could get reused instead of just going in a landfill or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess so. You got to use, like use the tools, right? Like the Autodesk or like the 3D modeling tools. But then also like you were learning like in a business sense, like how do you get data from a client? Like how do you
Right.
Turn that into something, right? So yeah, so it's like there's real world knowledge you're getting from it.
Yeah, I picked up a lot of just knowledge about like how engineering firms operate on a day-to-day basis, and that was really exciting. I wasn't expecting to learn just like as much about the business aspect of it as I did, because I didn't think I would be able to have like a significant role in the project. I thought I would be doing mostly. And I got there and I was in charge of like designing and editing parts that would be sent back to the client and stuff like that. So it was really nice. It was exciting to see a business like using me and my friend. We worked at the same place. Just seeing us being able to like actually learn and put out products that would be used by someone else. It was exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I remember like kind of like being in high school and like, wanting to know how the world worked and just like not even knowing what questions to ask about like, how things work. And like when you get to see it, it's like it really opens your eyes and then you start to see yourself in a job like that, right? And so like, yeah. So while okay, so like Anaya is doing her project like right now, and she's doing things virtually. But for Evan, when you started your project, you had no idea that like the world is going to change in the
Yeah.
middle of it. So how did that work?
For us, we got pretty lucky because the firm I worked with, they had about 10 to 15 people that were in person in the office. But when the big pandemic hit, most of them were able to work remotely from home, except for the two bosses. And because of that, there was enough space that we were able to just come in like normal as long as we were quarantining at our house in between. So my project was pretty lucky in terms of avoiding the like huge changes, but there were still things that I missed out on, like the interaction between the engineers there and stuff like that, because I was excited to see how they problem solved with each other and like troubleshooting design errors and stuff like that. But as a result of them being sent home, a lot of it was more like self-taught. But as in a way, I got a lot more experience with the design programs and the editing process. So silver lining, I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing that it stayed on track even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been the world is different than it was before, but it's amazing how people have adapted. Okay, so I want to send the next question to Anaya, and to kind of asking like, so you described your project, Jess, but so I know like, well, like as you've been like, well, it sounds like you've been working on this topic for a while. And how do you feel like it's impacted you? And what do you hope to learn as you keep doing your senior project? And what kind of experiences you hope to get from it?
So I think the biggest thing that I hope to learn is just about research in general. So I've been an activist for a while, but this is the first time I've been able to actively collect my own data. So that's been really, really cool, a different experience and perspective that I'm getting. So I'm very excited to learn how to analyze the data, what that means for my own research, how I can put this into a report that is very similar to the type of stuff that I have been reading and researching. So it's this really cool experience where I'm able to be my researcher, as a high schooler, something you wouldn't get until maybe grad school. So that's something I'm definitely looking forward to as I continue collecting data. Um, and kind of like what Evan was saying, I'm losing out on the engaging aspect of the senior project since it's all virtual. But since I just started presenting to different high schoolers, that's been really nice to be able to connect with them, share experiences about menstrual stigma, things like that. So that's what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, like when you do research, you're contributing to the body of knowledge that's out there, and it means that whatever you learn from your research, that becomes like part of the story, and that's part of it's part of what we do, like as learners, and we keep doing it all through our lives. So I'm really glad that you get to do that as part of your senior project. So yeah, and I hope that maybe after, like, once it's safe to travel, maybe you can get to go to New York and meet your
That'd be super cool, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, well, I want to ask Evan about from the impact from your senior project, and like, has it influenced what you're doing in college, and maybe what you're thinking about for like future internships and jobs?
Yeah, it definitely has. Going into senior year, I knew like I'd taken a bunch of math and science through basis, but I wasn't really sure of any like major. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so engineering had always been like an interesting field to me. So I wanted to do something where I could get real world experience in an engineering situation. And when I was there, like I realized this version of like large scale problem solving. It was super interesting to me, and I felt really engaged in the work I was doing. So it really helped me be really confident in the decision I made for my major, instead of going into college worrying if I had made the right choice or if I was going to enjoy the job I was doing. And as a result, I also got engaged really quickly in research here on campus because I realized I love being a part of research opportunities in the engineering field. So I think it really helped give me a solid foundation, and really like showed me that I do love this field.
So speaking as a parent, I have a fifth grader and an eighth grader right now, and so I'm in this point of like, envisioning like what high school will be like for my oldest, and so I guess, like, speaking as a parent, like you want to know that the experiences your kids are getting are helping kind of open doors for them and helping them imagine, what they want to be. And I think I hope that the parents listening to Anaya and Evan talk about their senior projects, realize that like the senior project fills a need, for kids to get that real world experience and to kind of test their hypothesis about, well, I think I'm interested in this, and just get, be ready to launch. That's like when you're done with high school, it's not as scary, right? Instead, it's like the world is opening up to you and you get to do things that are really meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to send the next question over to Ellie. And so Ellie's area of expertise is curriculum. So I wondered if you could share more about like what students are doing along the way in BASIS, and how that builds up towards when students become seniors and they're doing their senior projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So our upper school curriculum has a lot of breadth. So, all students take chemistry, biology, and physics, economics, logic, English literature, English language, foreign language, fine art course, math up to calculus. So students really have the opportunity to be exposed to, so many different fields and really sort of find what things they're passionate about. It's really important to us at BASIS that our teachers, are subject experts. So many of them have master's degrees, PhDs in their field. And so they are really passionate about what they're teaching. It's their love. And so students, day to day see these role models of people who, found something that they love and they just want to share that with people. So I think that creates kind of a great relationship for students and teachers to, approach research and talk about, these things they're passionate about, but that they don't have all the answers for yet. There's still research questions that are out there and open. And then I mean, finally, I would say our curriculum is quite rigorous, right? But I think what that does is it convinces our students that they can go out and they can do hard things. So even though it might be scary for a lot of seniors to, take on a brand new research project, sometimes it's, like a completely new idea that nobody's ever tried before. They know they can do it because they've tackled a lot of hard things along the way throughout the BASIS curriculum.
It's really it's really a good way to structure it, because I think by the time students get to senior year at BASIS, like they've satisfied all these academic requirements, and like their transcripts are ready for their college applications. And then and I think it's a time for kids to kind of stop and ask themselves, like, what's meaningful to me, and where do I feel most passionate about? And I think then because like it's one thing to be a good student, but I think when people do their best work, it's when they care deeply about the work that they're doing. And I think like senior projects are a platform for them to get to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna. I always close out chats with explaining to families, like, okay, if you heard about the school, here's what you do. But before we do that, I want to give all of my guests a chance to kind of offer closing thoughts and just sort of about senior projects. So we'll do Anaya, Evan, and then Ellie. So Anaya, it's your turn. Can you just kind of share your closing thoughts about senior projects? Like if you have advice for families or students.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is for whenever students like start researching the senior projects and what they want to do, really pick something you're passionate about. Like across the board, everyone at BASIS has their own passions. It's kind of like inherent with BASIS, inherent with the rigor. You find things that you're interested and curious about. So take that momentum and really put it into your senior project. You spend a lot of time and effort working on these projects, so you want it to be something that you really enjoy and something that hopefully will contribute to your life and your outlook on life. So yeah, definitely pick something you're really interested and passionate about.
Evan, how about you?
I definitely agree. It should be something you are excited to spend a lot of time learning about or getting involved in. But I think senior project was probably the best thing I did during my time at BASIS, because it was the best connection from everything we had learned to everything that I would be doing going forward. So I definitely recommend doing one. And if you're interested in doing one, I would start thinking as early as possible about whatever field or idea or anything that you want to do for your project. Because the further ahead you start planning it out, the better it'll be and the more you'll enjoy it. But definitely do them. It's worth the work.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, Evan, it sounds like for you, like the math and science classes that you took at BASIS fed into and like that laid the foundation for you being able to do your senior project and to really be valuable to the team at the company you were interning at.
Definitely. It definitely helped out a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Ellie, both the students have talked about how it was important that they they're passionate about what they worked on, and it sounds like they both got a lot out of their senior projects, and Anaya is getting a lot out of her senior project. So do you have any closing thoughts or like advice for families who are thinking about BASIS for their own children?
Well, I mean, one closing thought is just that we're just so proud of our senior project students. They really just blow me away with the sort of unique, incredible, world-changing ideas that they come up with. So I would just say, if you would like for your student to have an experience like this, come join us. We would love to have you.
Yeah. So this is the part where I get to plug the other resources on the SA Charter Moms site. So I hope families will. So if you go to the site, like we have our guide to charter schools, and that'll link you to our enrollment guide blog post about BASIS, and it shows you like what grade levels they serve, and how to find like the Shavano Campus or the Northeast Campus, which is the newest one, or like Medical Center and North Central, which are the primary campuses, and there's even one in Austin now, right? So we've got lots of stuff on our site, but I also recommend going to the websites for the schools, calling the campus and ask questions. There's information nights and things like that. And then the enrollbasis.com website is the place to go to just get your kids signed up. And one thing I've noticed about these times is that it seems like people are making their decisions a little slower about where to enroll their kids. But I really encourage go ahead and fill out that application and get the offer, research more about the schools. And if you know that something like senior projects is what this curriculum is working towards, then that might inspire a family or their students to say, hey, maybe BASIS is the right place for me, because these students, like Ellie said, the students are doing really unique projects about things that they're passionate about, and it's opening doors for them for the future. So okay, I've talked a lot. I'm really humbled and really in awe of the work that Evan and I are doing. And Ellie, thank you so much for joining me. Okay, thanks y'all. We'll sign off, and yeah, thanks for talking about BASIS senior projects.